25-year-old female and 25-year-old male. I need advice and input. I have asked my boyfriend if he agreed if I anonymously put this online for input. I'd like to know if I'm massively off for this. The situation? We purchased a house a few months ago. We share equal ownership. We got approved together. Initially, his father did not want me on the house. He didn't want me on the title or the deed. He is a nice man, but that is his son. I would be paying half for everything that includes a house and living together. He insisted I not be on it, in fact. So much so that our realtor reached out and informed me that he wanted to be out on in place of me because, although I said no, he tends to do things anyways. Realtor informed me in passing. I'd already known that he didn't want me on it, but I didn't think he really actively didn't want me on it. Red flag. Anyways, I'm not dating him. My boyfriend was okay with this because it's just my dad. He wouldn't screw you over. Sure, I get that, but that's not how that works. I have been with boyfriend for 6+ years now. Realtor and I informed father-in-law that I am needed. My credit is needed to apply for this loan. It's a first-time homebuyer's loan. My boyfriend applied too, as it is our first house. Father-in-law couldn't apply for obvious reasons. So I was put on. Initially, they tried just my boyfriend's credit to apply. It didn't work. Too much debt. He just bought a car a year before, and a bunch of cards open. He wasn't in debt, but just had debt, if that makes sense. That's where I come in. I had no debt, no cards. One card, but paid off. No assets, really. And a steady payment on bills in his name. Good credit, but I lacked debt. When combined, as the agents told us, it evened out. I basically took some of his debt. This got us approved. I also had a terrible job while he had a nicer one. I paid equal to him. We helped each other out. If he needed extra and I had it, he got whatever I had and still does. He did the same for me, just showing we had even workloads. When we got approved, his dad offered us $20,000 to fix it up so we could get tenants into the upper floor and we could get more money. We used the money to update everything, but I had to take time off work for that. At everyone's prompting, I cut hours at my job until ultimately working full-time at the house. My boyfriend and I had an apartment at the time, so I was still paying equal to him, while having no hours or job. I'm sure if I asked, he could help me, but I sacrificed so he could save more, as money is a big stressor to him. It doesn't bother me at all, but it is a factor, because at his prompting, I quit my job. I put full-time work into this house. I worked 10, 12 hours straight every day for almost 2 months to get it up to speed. My father helped some, and my boyfriend helped when he could. This was some weekends. He normally couldn't because of work. Understandable, I consider this equal. I work on the house all day while he works. This $20,000 goes into newer floors, countertops, toilets, etc. All aesthetic things to make the house worth more. His father very frequently brings up how we argue. Even when it's small, it's an argument. And he says, we won't last, and sometimes jokes that he should be put on the deed so he's safe. He said the $20,000 is a gift, but only if we stay together. My boyfriend and I agreed that we would pay him back regardless, and even more for all the other things he has done. Fast forward to last week, his father gifted us some fruit trees. We were very grateful, I was as well. He arrives at our house to help plant, and he says this tree should go in the center point of our yard. I disagree. It is a small yard. Our bulky pit bull pup has no self-control and would snap it since she runs full-speed zoomies, etc. She also likes sticks, and it's a baby pear tree. I said I disagreed, listed the reasons why, and said if any tree, I think the one with flowers, as it's bigger and is a centerpiece. I was very clear he was mad. He said if I was not going to take care of a tree, he would take it because he paid for it. I said go ahead and take it then, because I don't want a gift that comes with conditions. I made it clear to say that I didn't really care where else a tree stood in the yard, as long as it was not center-focused or where the dog runs. The center has baby grass coming up, and the place he wanted to plant it had grass, some of the only healthy grass in the yard. I explained that I did not want it there, especially because we planned to put a raised garden box over there, and it simply would look silly being so close but so awkwardly spaced. He was still mad, but I said what I said. My boyfriend was not privy to this conversation and came outside. We moved on and all went to the front, discussed placement of a couple trees, and agreed on placements. I was asked to fix the porch by father-in-law. They went to the back discussing an invasive plant we were going to dig up. I stayed in the front for maybe 20 minutes, realized I needed help, and came to the backyard. There stood the peach tree in the center of our yard. His father beaming, my boyfriend helped plant it, obviously. I tried not to be angry, but when his dad said, "Hey, how do you like it?" I said, "I have no idea why you were asking me that when I already said that this was the single spot I did not want a tree." A small argument ensued, and I'm like, "You already dug the hole, and you knew I wouldn't want to move it once it was in place, because then there would be 2 holes." His dad, with a smile, starts going, "No, we can just move it." All agreeable. I said, "No, just leave it. Damage is done. Just never mind about it." But to his son, who only saw me come to the backyard and get mad, he starts hacking away at the ground, ruining more grass in the process and moving it slightly to the side. He was angry and even got told by his dad to chill out and stop digging. He did not. The result was me staying quiet while they tore up the little grass we had to place the tree, still in the center but off to the side. Still in the spot, but I'm exhausted, so I'm just shaking my head. Boyfriend is pissed. Any question I ask, he ignores. Any question his dad asks, he says to ask me, because I control everything, even after the conversation of me telling him what his dad did and how he already asked, and I said, "I'm good with anywhere but this spot." He was still mad at me. He was actually dead silent nearly all day. Ignored me entirely. This happened at 12, 1 p.m. It went on until 5, 6 p.m. He said he feels embarrassed and I control everything. Refused to elaborate. A mini argument ensues. I say again how I was already asked, and his dad went behind me to get him to agree. My boyfriend also admitted he did not care where the tree was. I asked the question of why did you plant a whole tree in the center of a tiny yard without thinking to ask me? I also asked if by chance that spot was his dad's idea. He said yes, money issues. He has car appointments for new car and he's nervous about interest rates. Also, fender bender, so insurance. My reasons for my stance is I worked very hard for things I have. I've been homeless, been screwed over. In fact, something similar happened to my mom and she was screwed. We were homeless as a result of some fine print nonsense diminishing what we could get if our house was sold. If they want to sell and your percentage is low, they can buy you out. I remember being in court while my mom fought to not sell because it was our home and we had no place else, and the money she'd get if she sold was not enough to pay for another place. We didn't have enough on the spot to pay for the other 3 halves. We didn't win. My BF is aware of my distrust and why. Even after this, my own mother threw me out a few times as a child. I did not have a stable upbringing with adults I could trust, and I was raised without family around. My reasons for my stance is I worked very hard for things I have. I've been homeless, been screwed over. In fact, something similar happened to my mom, and she was screwed. We were homeless as a result of some fine print nonsense, diminishing what we could get if our house was sold. If they want to sell and your percentage is low, they can buy you out. I remember being in court while my mom fought to not sell because it was our home and we had no place else. And the money she'd get if she sold was not enough to pay for another place. We didn't have enough on the spot to pay for the other 3 halves. We didn't win. My BF is aware of my distrust and why, even after this, my own mother threw me out a few times as a child. I did not have a stable upbringing with adults I could trust, and I was raised without family around. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. You need to get yourself a lawyer because they are setting you up to take the house away from you. How did you make it so far into this relationship not realizing that your father-in-law hates you and that your boyfriend has no spine. Right now, your father-in-law has your boyfriend convinced that you are not trustworthy and are doing sneaky things behind his back. Do not sign anything. Do not trust your boyfriend or his dad. Wake up, get yourself a lawyer, and get ready for things to get even uglier. I would say try to talk to your boyfriend, but it seems he has made up his mind to believe all the lies his dad is saying about you. Update me. Comment too. How the frick did you write this whole post and still wonder if it's bad that you're put off by this shoot? If I were you, I would dump this dude whose umbilical cord apparently goes right to his dad's butt. Firstly, he allows his father to manipulate your relationship. Second, he said some incredibly rude shoot to you. Third, he's trying to gaslight you into thinking that you agreed to his father being on the deed. What the frick? It's pretty clear that your father-in-law is pouring poison in his ear. Do you seriously want to live like this for the rest of your life? Get away from these men. Freaking run. Now for the update. Thanks for all the comments and advice on my last post. Here's what's been happening since then. So, after the whole tree mess, things just spiraled. My boyfriend's car needed more repairs than we thought, and the insurance company was dragging their feet on the fender bender claim. Money was tight and he was stressed to the max. I tried to be supportive, but it felt like I was just another item on his list of problems. Then, out of nowhere, his dad drops another bomb on us. He wants to talk about the $20,000 he gave us. Turns out, it wasn't a gift. It was a loan, and he wants us to start paying it back with interest. My boyfriend was just as shocked as I was. We had no written agreement, nothing. His dad just changed the rules. We argued, of course. I felt betrayed, not just by his dad, but by my boyfriend too. He didn't stand up for us, just nodded along like it was all fine. I was fuming. I've been down this road before, and I wasn't about to let it happen again. But wait, it gets worse. My boyfriend's sister, who's always been a bit of a hectic card, decided to stir the pot. She told me in confidence that their dad was planning to use the money we'd pay back to help her buy a place of her own. I couldn't believe it. Here I was, busting my back for this house, and they were planning to use my money to help someone else? I confronted my boyfriend about it, and he just shrugged. Said his sister was probably lying or exaggerating. But I could see it in his eyes. He knew something about it. I felt like I was being walked all over, and I was sick of it. Then, the final straw. I found out that my boyfriend had been talking to a real estate agent about selling the house, without telling me. He said it was just in case, that we needed to be prepared for all possibilities. But I knew better. His dad was pushing for it, I could tell. They wanted to cash in, and I was just an obstacle. I had to make a decision. I could stay and fight for what I thought was right, or I could walk away from the mess. It was a test of loyalty, not just to my boyfriend, but to myself. I remembered my mom's struggle, the feeling of being powerless, and I knew I couldn't let that happen again. So I did something I never thought I'd do. I called a lawyer. I wanted to know where I stood legally. I wasn't going to be pushed out or bought off. I was half owner of this house, and I was going to make sure I stayed that way. The lawyer was a godsend. He helped me understand my rights, and even suggested a few options I hadn't considered. I felt empowered for the first time in weeks. When I told my boyfriend, he was furious. Said I was overreacting, that I was making things worse. But I stood my ground. I wasn't going to be the quiet, compliant girlfriend anymore. I was a partner in this, and I deserved to be treated as such. The aftermath was ugly. His family accused me of trying to take advantage of their son, of being ungrateful for everything they'd done for us. But I knew the truth. I was fighting for what was fair, for what we had agreed upon when we bought this house together. My boyfriend and I are still together, but things are strained. We're trying to work through it, but I can't shake the feeling that his loyalties are divided. And mine? Well, I'm loyal to myself first now. I have to be. Thanks for reading. My wife cheats with a man from our athletic club and brags, but when she gets pregnant, I make her regret her infidelity by taking full custody and kicking her out. My wife and I have been married for 9 years and have a precious son, 5. Before this, I believed I was the happiest man in the world. My wife really was amazing both as a wife and mother, and the day she gave birth to our beautiful boy was the happiest day of my life. Our friends even call us the TV family because of how perfect we look to them. My wife is a former campus beauty pageant winner and is constantly approached by men for as long as I have known her. But she never did anything to make me suspect she's not loyal to me. My wife's behavior suddenly became strange. She was totally normal toward my son, but was always annoyed and dismissive towards me for no reason. I tried to communicate about it, but she would just yell at me. I tried to solve it with affection, but she rejected me. It got so bad that we agreed to send my son to my parents' house for the weekend. It was on that weekend that we had a talk, and she broke down and confessed she cheated. The man she cheated with was our acquaintance A, 32M. My wife and I are part of an athletic club that is a mix of hobbyists and real professionals. Some of the professionals act as instructors in the hobbyist class, and A became one of our regular instructors about 2 years ago. I could tell my wife had a little crush on him from the start, but it never bothered me because her behavior never crossed the line. She told me they had a one-night stand. I asked her for the details. Her story was too odd, but I acted like I believed her. She said she had acted badly towards me because seeing me reminded her of her mistake, and she couldn't handle the guilt, so she lashed out at me. I had too many questions, but I was so suspicious I couldn't even get emotional. The next Monday, my wife went to work and took our son to daycare, and I took sick leave. My wife was using a message app to contact A. She's not tech savvy, but I knew that this app uses local data storage, meaning even if she erased messages on the phone app, they stay on the PC app, which she also has. So I had hoped to find the truth. I logged onto her PC, found her chat with A, and scrolled back a little bit to immediately find a bunch of explicit messages, images, and videos. I was sick to my stomach with the kind of material I saw, such as selfies of my wife in our bathtub telling him she's thinking about him, or an unclothed mirror selfie in a bathroom that I recognized was from a trip we went on with our son. I know I should have resisted, but I pressed play on some of the videos they shared, and it was like I saw a completely different woman. She was so much more enthusiastic in intimacy with him, making sounds I had never heard before and talking dirty to him, and just a totally different person compared to the woman I was used to in bed. I could just tell from these few seconds of videos that she's so much more sexually attracted to A than to me. She also lied about using condoms. I scrolled up to around 8 months ago, and there were still more and more messages, so I exported the chat logs to a text file and printed them. I was crying and breathing hard and wanted to jump out of the window. I just wanted my son, but I didn't want him to be around me in this state. After I calmed down, I looked at the text logs and found out the worst part. She had lied about ending it with him. Their most recent messages showed A had told my wife he wanted to end their relationship. She didn't accept it at first and kept asking why. And he said he had another girlfriend he wanted to get serious with. She begged him, acted sad, then she got angry with him, but he told her that if she kept bothering him, he'd send me their pictures and videos. And these last messages coincided with her change in behavior. So she was not upset with herself, as she claimed. She was upset because she got dumped. They had been chatting for over 1 year. They didn't talk about me or personal matters much. It was mostly flirting, setting up dates, and intimacy talk. My wife is a foreign national and has no family here. So I packed up my bags before she came home that day, sent her messages to tell her I knew everything, and went to my parents' house. I didn't tell them why, just said we had a fight. My wife has been begging me to come back home, saying my son is asking for me, saying she's sorry, and leaving crying voicemails. I am absolutely devastated as my family meant everything to me. I can't even see my wife as the same woman because of what I saw in those videos and images, but more so because she was so good at hiding it. If she didn't get dumped and threatened, I'm not sure I would have ever suspected anything was wrong. I don't know who the real woman is, the woman in the images, or the woman who cared for me, my son, and my parents so deeply. I have so many questions about why she did this. I know that I am not the most physically attractive man that she could have chosen, but I'm a good father, a good husband, I have a great career, and enough money so that neither she nor our son is lacking anything, and can do or have anything and go anywhere they want. There are many worse men than me with loyal wives, so what the hell did I do to have her go crazy with another man? It's so messed up that I miss her. I feel like the woman I loved has died, and I miss her so much. I'm worried about my son finding out what his mother did when he grows up and hating me for being weak if I take her back. But what if I divorce my wife and she moves back to her home country? Then we go to court to settle parental rights, and most likely, my son will lose one parent forever. I did get an STD test already. Thankfully, my son looks exactly like me. I know he's mine. I'm just totally messed up by this situation. I can't sleep because her voice and the things she did in those videos replay in my head. I have heart palpitations and anxiety, and I'm messing up at work and missing my son. Logically, I know I should leave my wife, but I feel like I'll never be happy again unless my family is together again. How can I save my family from being destroyed by this? Has anyone recovered from an affair through counseling? What is the best thing for my son? Please help me. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Let's be absolutely clear. You won't be breaking up your family. She broke your family by cheating. Full stop. She is not the person you wanted or believed her to be. What you need to do is to move forward in the way that best promotes your well-being so that you can be the best father to your son that you can possibly be. You can't be happy in a family where one parent can't trust the other. It's devastatingly painful to accept that the dream you wanted is lost to you. But in the end, a hard truth is better than a comforting lie. Now, I do have to say that sometimes couples recover successfully from infidelity, but it requires hard work from both partners, and especially the betraying partner. So if she isn't 110% on board with doing the work to repair the relationship and restore trust, you're better off not wasting the effort. If you do decide to try reconciliation, be sure to have a good couples therapist to help with and oversee the work. Good luck and sorry you're here. Comment 2. Things like this will hurt when they're still raw. Most people won't want to take the leap of ending a long relationship solely because so much time was invested. Even though the idea of ending things hurts, we, Adgars as individual beings, are all we have at the end of the day. Even though having others around makes us feel whole, we still need to look out for ourselves and treat ourselves the way we would want others to. At the end of the day, there is nothing another person can offer that you cannot do for yourself. I wish you the best of luck. Navigating this really shitty situation, you are enough for yourself. I don't know what advice to offer in terms of how you will raise your child, as I am not a parent, but it is absolutely possible to have both parents in the child's life without the parents being in a relationship. Now, for the update, thanks for sticking around. Things have only gotten messier since my last post. The day after I left, my wife showed up at my parents' house unannounced, tears streaming down her face, clutching a letter. She had written an apology saying she'd do anything to fix our family. I didn't want to deal with her, but she wouldn't leave. She sat on the doorstep for hours, and my parents, bless their hearts, convinced me to talk to her. It was a mistake. She confessed that the affair with A wasn't just physical. She had fallen for him. But she swore it was over, and that she realized she loved me more. I didn't know what to feel. Betrayed, yes, but also pity for her desperation. I told her I needed time and sent her away. The next day, I found out from a friend at the athletic club that A had been bragging about his conquests, including my wife. The club was in an uproar. A was a predator, using his position to seduce members. The club expelled him, and the news spread like wildfire. I felt a grim satisfaction that he got what he deserved, but it was cold comfort. Then the news dropped. A's girlfriend, who he left my wife for, reached out to me. She had found out about the affair and wanted revenge. She had a video of A and my wife together and threatened to make it public. I begged her not to, thinking of my son's future, the shame it would bring. She agreed on one condition. I had to meet her in person. We met at a coffee shop, and she was just as angry and hurt as I was. She showed me the video, and it was worse than I imagined. But as we talked, we found common ground in our pain. She decided not to release the video, and I was grateful, but it felt like a hollow victory. I went home to an empty house, my wife still begging for forgiveness. I was torn. I missed my family, my son. I thought about the good times, the love we had, and in a moment of weakness, I agreed to meet her for dinner. She was waiting, hopeful. We talked, and she told me she was pregnant. My world stopped. She was sure it was mine, but could I believe her? I was overwhelmed, angry, but also hopeful. Could this be a second chance? We decided to try counseling for the sake of our son and the unborn child. I felt like I was betraying myself, but the thought of losing my family was unbearable. The counselor was sympathetic, but it was hard, dredging up all the lies, the betrayal. It's been 3 days of an emotional roller coaster. I'm still angry, but I'm also scared of being alone, of my son growing up without his father. I feel weak for forgiving her, but I can't help it. I want my family back, even if it means living with the memory of her infidelity. Thanks for reading. My girlfriend cheats while we're expecting a baby. But when her affair partner shows up at the hospital, I make sure they both learn the true cost of betrayal. So, I've been in a relationship with Mona for 4 years. We live together and have been happy. We have had arguments here and there, but overall our relationship has been very solid. We're expecting a baby. She is 19 weeks pregnant. It was unexpected, birth control failed. But after reflection, we decided to keep the baby. We both want children and to build a family together. While the baby is coming a few years early, we feel that we are mature and secure enough to be good parents. She really struggled with nausea at the beginning, but luckily it's starting to get better. I try to do my best to support her and help her through it. I stepped up and took over almost all the housework and cooking duties so she can relax at home. To be clear, I've always found feet gross. I just can't help it. I'm not literally scared of them and can even appreciate pretty feet, but I really don't want to touch them or have them touch me. It gives me goosebumps. Mona knows this and used to tease me about it. Recently, she started to complain about sore feet and asked me to massage her feet. So, despite my aversion to feet, I massaged her a few times. The problem is, she now wants foot massages almost every day, and not just quick rubs, but more like 25-minute long sessions. Yesterday, I decided to talk to her. I said that while I love her and she means the world to me, I'm really not comfortable with massaging her feet every day. Maybe we could book a masseuse, or I could prepare foot baths for her. She didn't take it well, and we had an argument. She called me a selfish jerk. She says that hiring a masseuse is a stupid idea because we need to save money for the baby, and it puts my comfort over our child and our future. I tried to explain my point. While we agreed to save money for the baby and buying a house, we make good money, and hiring a masseuse wouldn't endanger our future plans, far from it. She was having none of it and said that if I'm not able to make an effort for her, my girlfriend carrying my child, then I am a shitty partner and will be a shitty parent. She threatened to leave and have the baby without me. She told me to leave her alone. I slept on the couch, and we haven't talked since. She is supposed to spend the weekend with her friend who lives nearby, so she won't be home until tomorrow. I don't know what to do. I am upset and hurt by what Mona said, because I'm really doing everything I can for her to make sure all of her needs are being taken care of and to prepare the best future possible for our child. But she never sees or appreciates it. The fact that she thinks I will be a bad dad is destroying me. It is even worse that she is thinking about leaving and removing me from her life and our future baby. I don't know what to think about all this. Am I being unreasonable? Am I a shitty partner? TLDR. I've been in a relationship with my girlfriend for 4 years. She is 19 weeks pregnant. I'm a bit grossed out by feet. She knows it but wants me to massage her feet. She says I am immature for refusing and is threatening to leave me. I am destroyed. Is it all my fault? Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1, not your fault. You are allowed to have a weird, gross-out reaction to feet. Your girlfriend is allowed to be sore-footed, hormonal, and testy. She isn't, however, allowed to expect you to magically solve your foot issue or to shoot down all of your suggested compromises. She should not be insulting you or your parenting ability. Hiring someone to give a massage or giving her a foot bath are both great compromises. So is buying a vibrating foot massager boot. I hope the two of you are able to make up. Being silent with each other over solvable problems is not good. Comment 2. I get it. I hate feet too. I recommend getting a foot massager or a foot bath for her and/or a gift certificate for a pregnancy massage, or 2 or 3. I really hate touching feet and am so impressed that you were even able to do it. Try explaining to her again that it's really pushing you outside of your comfort zone and you want to be able to do it, but just can't. And then hand her the alternative. Now for the update. Thanks for sticking around to hear more about my life. So, after Mona left to spend the weekend with her friend, things went from bad to worse. I thought we'd have time to cool off, but instead, she came back with the news. She confessed she'd been seeing someone else for months. Said it started as nothing, just coffee with a coworker, but it turned into more. She was crying, saying she never meant to hurt me, but she felt lonely with me working late and her being sick with the pregnancy. I was floored. I knew we had our issues, but cheating? That hit me like a truck. I couldn't even look at her. She begged me to forgive her, said it was over with the other guy, that it was a huge mistake. She wanted us to go to counseling, to work it out for the sake of our baby. I didn't know what to do. Part of me wanted to throw her out right then and there, but another part, I don't know, felt desperate to keep my family together. Before I could even process all of this, her phone rang. It was her mom, who'd been in the hospital for a while. Her condition had worsened, and she needed surgery. Mona was a wreck. She needed me. And despite everything, I couldn't turn my back on her. So, I drove her to the hospital, stayed with her, tried to be supportive. It was like a bad dream watching her break down, knowing she'd betrayed me, but also seeing her so vulnerable. Her mom made it through the surgery, but it was touch and go for a while. We spent days at the hospital, and in that time, I saw a side of Mona I'd forgotten. The caring, loving person I fell for. It was confusing to say the least. I was still angry, but I also remembered why I loved her. Then, as if we hadn't had enough drama, the other guy showed up. He was another nurse at the hospital, and he didn't know I was the boyfriend. He thought Mona was single. When he found out about me, about the baby, he was as shocked as I was when I found out about him. He apologized, said he never would have gotten involved if he'd known. It was a mess, but seeing him there, it made things real. Mona had lied to both of us. After her mom stabilized, we went home, and that's when I told her. I said I'd forgive her, but things had to change. No more secrets, no more lies. We'd go to counseling, but she had to be all in, for real this time. She agreed, and it felt like maybe, just maybe, we could get past this. But life had one more curveball for us. I got a call from my boss. The company was downsizing, and I was being let go. Just like that. All our financial security, our plans for the baby, the house. It was all up in the air. Mona was scared, and honestly, so was I. But we stuck together. We started cutting costs, looking at our budget, figuring out how we could make it work. It's been pretty hard on us, to say the least. I've been looking for work. Mona's been going to her prenatal appointments, and we've been going to counseling. It's not easy. There are days when I'm so angry I can barely speak to her. But then, there are moments when it feels like we're going to be okay. I guess that's where we're at now. Trying to rebuild trust, dealing with the uncertainty of the future, and preparing for our baby. I never thought I'd be in this position, but here I am, trying to make the best of it. Thanks for listening. If you like this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.